Are you on a journey to discover your why in life? Imagine the profound clarity and sense of purpose you'd experience if you truly grasp not just what you do, but why you do it, how you uniquely bring your why to life, and what exactly people can count on you for. Mark Twain once said that the two most important days in your life are the day that you were born and the day you find out why. Yet, most of us drift through life without ever finding out our why. But what if I told you that there was a discovery out there that holds the key to unlocking the reasons behind every action, your deepest motivations, and your unique purpose, all in less than 5 minutes? Would you believe me? Today, you're in for a real treat because I have the honor and privilege of interviewing Dr. Gary Sanchez, the founder and CEO of the Y Institute. Dr. Gary has dedicated his life to a noble mission to impact over 1 billion people in guiding them to discovering their why. Dr. Gary's why is to find a better way and share it. How he does that is by making things clear, first for himself and then for others. Ultimately, what he brings are simple solutions to help others move forward. That's exactly what we'll be exploring today. Dr. Gary has created a groundbreaking discovery that has enabled hundreds of thousands of people to gain the clarity, confidence, and certainty around who they are so that they can be uniquely themselves. It's great to have you here, Gary. Welcome to the show.
Awesome, Mary. Thanks. What a great intro. I love that. And you're right on point, right on track.
I love it. Wonderful. So, to start things off, I would love for you to go back to your own personal journey of discovering your why and how it has changed the way that you show up in this world.
Great question. So I graduated from USC Dental School in 1988. I hate to even say that, but 1988. And the advice that I was given by the experts or the gurus of that time was build a great product and people will come.
Mm,
Right? Go out and do the best job you can do, and people will naturally and mysteriously find out about you. So I'm sure many of your listeners will have heard the same thing. So I
yes.
did that. I spent 20 years reaching the highest levels you could go to in dentistry, studying with the best mentors, going to the best institutes, building a beautiful practice, buying all the technology, having a well-trained team. And when I say we had a great product, I mean, we really did. We had half-day staff meetings every week for 2 years to develop our policies and systems and processes so we could deliver on what we said we could do. And even after all of that, I still found that I blended in with everybody else who said, yeah, I'm a dentist too. The general public didn't know how we were different, even though they got used to the way we did things and just expected it to be that way. And that really drove me crazy. I'd never worked so hard, Mary,
Mhm.
on something and not gotten the results that I expected. And I was just ready to quit. I said, there's got to be something better than this. And that's when I went out and I hired a coach. I hired a guy by the name of John Assaraf. I think you know John Assaraf. And through him, he was in The Secret, and he wrote the book, The Answer. And that's where it all started. And so through him, I learned to use the internet. I learned how to do websites and drip campaigns and SEO, and I could get my message out to the world. So Mary, I could tell everybody how great I was. But the only problem was I didn't know what to say. So I just stayed quiet because I didn't want to sound bad. And that's when I heard about this concept of why. I saw Simon Sinek's TED Talk. I watched that 20, 30 times. I bought his book. I read it many, many times. And I said, that's what I'm missing. I have a great what, but I don't know my why. So I became obsessed with discovering my why. Couldn't figure it out on my own. So I called Simon. I said, Simon, I need you to help me discover my why. So he and I spent about 8 months together going back through my life. This was back in 2009. And finally, I figured out my why, which is what you mentioned earlier, to find a better way and share it. Oh my gosh, once I realized that, my life made so much sense to me. I have a lot of patents and products and inventions that are all better ways of doing things.
Oh,
And so I took what I learned from Simon and I took what I learned from John Assaraf, and I created this whyification process for my practice. Instead of talking about what we do, crowns, bridges, fillings, complete gum care, all that dental stuff, We
Mhm.
started talking about why we do, what we believe, right? We believe that life is better when you have great teeth. And in fact, you can't have a good life if you have bad teeth.
Mhm.
And my practice started to take off. We went from just getting by to having abundance, from 4 to 6 new patients a month to 35 to 45 new patients a month. And in my practice, a new patient was worth about $6,000. So it was a big jump for us. Most fun, most satisfaction, most revenue, most income, helping the most people. Just, abundance is a heck of a lot more fun than getting by.
Mhm.
So I started getting calls from other dentists wanting me to help them do the same thing. And
Mhm.
so I had to figure out a process for doing this. So I figured out a way to help people discover their why, and not take 6 or 8 or 10 months, but to do it in about an hour. So I started helping lots and lots of dentists, and then chiropractors, and then financial groups, and more people. I started helping discover their why. And I started to notice patterns and trends and similarities. And I figured out, Mary, that there's only 9 different whys.
Okay.
And that was the most important thing that I discovered. Because once I figured out there were 9 different whys, then we had an endpoint. So for those of you that are listening, if you've ever tried to figure out what your why is, and you never knew if you got there, you didn't know if it was actually correct. That's what I was experiencing, and many people were experiencing. But once I figured out there were 9 different whys, we had an endpoint. We
Mhm.
knew when we got there. And so once I figured that out, I could teach other people to do what I was doing. And so I taught lots and lots of coaches how
Okay.
to help others discover their why. And then with that, Mary, we got lots and lots of data. With the data, I was able to develop the algorithm, write the software, where in 2016, we launched the why discovery. They just found your why. So I've done at this point more why discoveries than anybody in the world, but I was only about 70% accurate. So 30% of the time I was wrong. If
Mhm.
everything you do, your passion, your purpose, your direction, your messaging, your marketing, your branding is all based on your why, do you think it's important to have your why correct?
Absolutely.
And
Mhm.
so since the why discovery was 100% accurate, I gave it away to hundreds of thousands of people to test it. And then in 2021, we launched the YOS discovery that finds your why, your how, and your what, and builds your message for you in about 8 minutes. And that's what you took, and
Yes.
that we can talk about today. So I know that was a mouthful, and that was a really quick run up to today, and we can go back and dive into some other aspects of that if you want, but that's essentially how we got to this point today.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah. And I did take that discovery, and I'll even share what we came up with for mine. So my why was, I believe that success happens when relationships are based on trust. How I do that is by finding better ways and sharing them. Ultimately, what I bring is a way to contribute and add value to have an impact on other people's lives.
And how
And
did that feel to you?
And that absolutely resonated for me. When I took your test, or not the test, but the discovery,
Yep.
right? I took that discovery. I was like, wow. And no wonder I've gone through life in one career path for over 2 decades. And now I'm detouring back to what I actually want and what actually resonates with me, which is coaching, which is my what. What I bring is a way to contribute to impact other people's lives. So for me, it was like, wow, that was really reaffirming in that choosing the coaching profession actually aligns with my what. And when I looked at trust, like, wow, my why is trust. It actually made sense because what I had done was I had taken my life experiences and filtered it through trust. And in doing that, I realized why certain things worked out for me, why certain things didn't work out, why certain relationships worked out, why certain relationships didn't work out. And in friendships, whatever it may be, it's taking all of life's categories, filtering it through the trust, and then understanding why outcomes were favorable or outcomes were unfavorable. So for me, it definitely hit the nail on the head. It was very accurate.
So
And
say it again for everybody. Say your why, your how, and your what again. Your simple why. That's called your simple YOS.
okay, here we go. I believe that success happens when relationships are based on trust. How I do that is by finding better ways and sharing them. Ultimately, what I bring is a way to contribute and add value. which is having an impact on the lives of others.
Let's dive into that for a minute. So this is perfect.
Let's
Timing was perfect. Um, so your why then is to find a better, is to create relationships based upon trust.
Yes,
And so everything to you is about trust, right? If I can trust you and you can trust me, sky's the limit, right? Nothing we can't do.
absolutely.
How does it feel if someone were to break your trust?
It would it would definitely not work for me. If
Right.
someone breaks my trust, I I tend to shut down. I'd have a very difficult time actually having a conversation with that person, especially if I felt like it was intentional.
So it's more than just annoys you. It's like a knife in the gut, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah, it is.
And so how you do that is by finding better ways. You're always on the lookout for things that are better,
Yeah,
right? It's just how your brain works. That looks better, that's better, that's better. And you can take it from different areas and bring it to what you're currently doing. And then ultimately, what you bring is a way to contribute, add value, have an
mhm,
impact in other people's lives, help move them forward, use your time, your money, your energy, your
yeah.
connections to push other people forward, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I always feel like it's funny because my mentor always tells me you've already given value. Like it's time to, go move to the next step or the next phase of your business. And I'm always like, no, no, not yet. I have more to give. I have more to give. And one thing I've realized about myself is that I also need to be more cognizant of like when enough is enough and you've already given it your all, right? So I think because I'm always constantly trying to find better ways to make a bigger impact, sometimes I get stuck in the cycle.
Tiny penny, right?
Yeah. ab-
So what I want your audience to think about, if you're watching this and you were to look at Mary, is there any way you would possibly know that about her? Or anybody for that matter. So what we typically do uh, is we create a narrative around what we think we see. So this could be with your significant other. This could even be with your kids.
Mhm.
You think you know who they are based on the actions that you see, but you're never really sure. And what the YOS discovery does is it strips away what you think you see, what's on the outside, and it brings forward what's really there.
Mhm.
So we know that trust is such a big thing for Mary.
Yep.
We know that she really is always looking for better ways, ultimately for the purpose of having an impact in other people's lives. Because when they do better, she feels like she's done better.
100%.
And now we know so much more than just what we see. Or how long would that have taken us? How much time would we have had to spend with Mary to see that in her,
Yeah.
if ever, right? If ever.
Yeah. And because who knows if Mary would have gotten that? Like when it came out as trust, I was like, huh, okay, that's interesting, But then when I read my report, which was in a lot more detail, I thought, oh my gosh, that's like it's right in front of me. It's been right in front of me all along, but I just didn't see it.
So if I was your coach, so let's kind of shift gears a little bit into the coaching space,
Okay, let's do it.
because if Mary was a prospect and I just get on a Zoom call with her, hey, let's talk about, let's set up an appointment to get to know each other.
Yeah.
We'll end up talking about, where do you live? Tell me about your kids. What are you interested in? Tell me about your business. A lot of small talk.
Hmm. Hmm.
But now that I know your YOS,
Hmm.
the conversation that we can have, well, this is what happened with us, right? I mean, once I knew your YOS, when we got on the call,
That's true.
I
Yeah.
don't meet with anybody unless I know their YOS,
Right.
because what are we going to talk about, right? We're going to go all over the place. It's a bunch of small talk and kind of hope we end up with something in common
Yeah.
to
We're just
build our next common.
gonna
Right. Yeah, where's that lead? And
Whereas,
and so now when we got on the call, I knew exactly, it's very predictable. I
mhm,
know exactly what's going on in your world. I know what you're really good at. I know what's really important to you.
yes.
And I know how to connect with you in a way where you're going to feel heard
You did.
and valued.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I felt
that's,
understood.
yes. And the simplest way to do that, so for all the coaches that are listening, when you take the YOS discovery, it finds your why, your how, and your what, and it creates your personal message for you, like I said, in about 8 minutes. So how we started the conversation was I said, Mary, read your simple YOS out loud,
Mhm.
which was the message that you just heard Mary read, right? And
Yeah.
then do you remember what I said to you? I just, how does that feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you started saying, yeah, that's me to a T. That's exactly how I think. That's me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now I know so much and we can connect in a much deeper way.
Oh, absolutely. And I think like by knowing that trust is my why, you knew that likely I appreciate meaningful connections. And I'm really not one for small talk. Like I don't know how to do, I feel awkward doing small talk because for me it's all about deep, meaningful connections, connections with intention, connections with purpose. So and I found that, when you came to me, what you showed me is that you knew me better than I knew myself. And
Mhm.
that automatically created a feedback loop, and it told me that, oh, I can trust him. He gets me. He understands me, and I thought that that was invaluable. Like I was receptive to what you had to say because you came out so strong. And I was convinced that, okay, this thing works.
Mhm. And what was really impactful as well. So here's the thing about the why of trust. Here's what we know.
Okay.
If Mary doesn't tell people how important trust is to her, what is the likelihood that someone like me that has the why of better way is going to break it?
Mm,
Very high.
yeah. Yes.
Right? Because can get involved in all these different shiny penny type things. And oh, we had a call at 1 o'clock. Oh my gosh, it's already 1:05. So now I'm showing up at 1:05 and you're sitting on this call going, hey, we had a 1 o'clock call.
Yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel good,
No,
right?
it's true. Yeah.
But if you let me know how important trust is to you, it
Mhm.
gives me the opportunity to raise my hand and say, yes, I believe the same thing. And I get how important it is to you. And I will not break your trust. I will make sure that I don't. I will go above and beyond to not break your trust. And it's not really, Mary, about being perfect, right? It's about just being truthful with you. If I'm gonna be late, just let you know,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And it's actually one of my pet peeves. It's like, well, if you're going to be late, like just send a message and say, hey, running late, but like say something because if you're late and you don't say anything and I'm waiting, I feel like I'm not valued, right? Like you haven't valued my time, my energy, my attention. So, I mean, I think trust it goes deeply in so many different areas. But one thing that I've never communicated to anyone is like, well, these are my, these are my expectations, or this is what I value, so that other people know what I'm paying attention to, right? And I think that that's definitely a game changer. And the biggest game changer is for me to actually understand why, right? Why do I feel triggered that someone came 10 minutes late to a meeting, right? Like it's really doing that introspection and understanding yourself first, right? Because you can't communicate to anybody who you are if you don't know who you are. And
Yes.
that's how this discovery has been so helpful, or if I'm like trying to find like just last night I was trying to find something and I was messaging my business partner, how about this, how about this, how about this, and it was like, okay, you know what, let's just pick one. And what am I doing? I'm doing my how, finding a better way, right? I find something, then I found something better, but then I find something better. And I continue to find the best thing because I think that the best thing is what adds the most value. So it all connects, right?
So what you're saying and this is what I hear often, is that discovering your YOS gives you the words to
Mm.
go with the feelings that you've always had, but not had a way to express.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You knew a lot about it, but you couldn't really say it. And
Mhm.
until you can say it, you don't really know it. It's just a feeling, or I kind of think I have this, or I kind of, it's not like you can't latch onto it. You can't have confidence and certainty and clarity
Mm.
if you can't say it. And
Absolutely.
so that's why it was so critical to add that simple YOS, or your simple message part, to the process, because once you can say it, you're like, man, that is definitely me. And now I'm clear. And now let's go, because now I understand it.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah,
You
I
can't,
absolutely agree.
you can't get fired up about a maybe, or a sort of, or I think, but you can about an I know. I now know this about me.
Yeah.
I can say it. It's true. It's who I am. It's what I believe. It's why I do what I do. It's how I bring that to life. And it's what people can count on from me every time.
Yeah.
And
And you know what that means? That when you have that self-trust, you have self-confidence. You know who you are and how you show up in the world. And I think like it's very difficult for us to have self-confidence when we don't trust ourselves.
so let me add to that, because here's where I might differ from some things that we hear, that you might hear out there. And
Mm.
that is when people start talking about change. And
Mm.
they say, well, change yourself and change your brain, change your life, change your brain, change, all this change stuff.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, how often do people ever change
Seldom.
anything? Huh?
Seldom.
Seldom, right?
Difficult.
I
Yeah.
remember when I was a dentist, I had this patient that was the head of the pain clinic here at University of New Mexico for 40 years. And I asked him, I said, oh, okay, over the course of the 40 years
Mhm.
that you were head of the pain clinic, what percentage of the patients that you saw actually got better? He said,
Mm.
less than 1%.
Wow.
He said, because I would tell them what they needed to do, but they weren't going to do it. And the ones who did got better. The ones who didn't, which is 99 point, whatever percent, didn't. So, I mean, there are some people that change, at least short term, but I don't believe that people necessarily need to change. I believe they just need to know who they are, so they can stop trying to be someone they're not and be the best version of who they really are.
Mm.
It's, imagine Halloween. Think to Halloween, and you're in a costume. And it's fun at first because you can pick who you want to be.
Mhm.
But over the course of the night, man, it gets tiring. Oh, I can't wait to get this costume off.
Yeah.
But imagine going through your whole life that way, always putting on a costume.
Mhm.
Try to be somebody that you're not,
Mhm.
because you don't know who you really are. So once you're clear on who you are, being the best version of you is all you need. You don't need to be anything but who you already are. And that's when you're free. That's when you can move forward faster. That's when you can have a bigger impact. That's when it's authentic. That's when you love yourself,
Mhm.
right? If I tell you to try to be somebody that you're not, after a while, it's going to be tough, right? And maybe you've tried that in your life. I think we all have.
Oh, absolutely. I think, in search of trying to find who we are, I think we start trying on different costumes, right? And what happens? Imposter syndrome sets in, right? Because you're trying to be somebody you're not. And that creates a lot of friction. It creates a lot of resistance, right? So it's like there's nothing easier than just being you. So figure out who you are and just be it. You are good enough just the way you are. But I think we go through life really just wandering and not knowing because we have the feelings, we have the emotions, but we don't have the words, like you said.
Perfect. Perfect. Couldn't have said it any better. And when you um when you're not clear, you can't really be yourself.
Mhm.
When you and you've already just experienced, the difference between not knowing and not being able to say it to now being able to say it, and how much clarity that gives you,
Mhm.
because that also becomes your message. That
Yeah.
also answers the question, why should I choose you
Mhm.
over everybody else who does what you do?
Mhm.
There was never a shortage of dentists in Albuquerque.
Right.
There's not a shortage of coaches out there.
Very true.
So why should I choose you as my dentist, or why should I choose you as my coach? Because what your YOS tells you is who it is that you are looking for. And I'm not sure if we've talked about this yet, but who Mary is looking for. So for those of you that are listening and can write this down, you can write down, I'm looking for someone who's looking for.
Mhm.
And then you'll put your why, your how, and your what there. I'll show you what I mean with Mary. So Mary's looking for someone who's looking for someone they can trust.
Mm.
Mary's looking for someone who's looking for a better way. And
Wow.
Mary's looking for someone who's looking to have a bigger impact.
How true is that?
And now
Wow.
that is your ideal client.
Hence why I focus on entrepreneurs. Hence why I focus on high performers, because they're always looking for a better way to make a bigger impact.
And
Wow.
you be that trusted source for them that'll guide them along their journey and be there for them, because relationships are a big deal to you, right?
Huge. Yes. Wow. That's an unlock. Thank you. It's like, it's a validation, right? Like, why do I gravitate to this target audience? Why do I gravitate to these types of clients? And now it just makes even more sense.
And that's the better able you are to articulate what it is you believe, the more you will attract those people that believe what you believe. And those are the ones you want to work with. They're the
Okay.
ones that are going to love being with you, love everything about you. They are going to refer people to you, pay their bills on time. They're going to be a fun to work with because
Mhm.
they believe what you believe.
Right. They
But if you
resonate.
don't even know what you believe, how are you able to attract those people?
Right.
And now you know.
Yeah. And I think that's where coaches kind of fall in the pitfalls, right? Like where they're getting like clients who are maybe uncommitted, unresponsive, not paying on time. And then you end up with clients who you actually don't want to coach, right? Because there's no alignment there. So knowing your why definitely helps you understand who your ideal client is so that you can serve them and so that they want to be served by authentically and uniquely you.
Totally right on track. And let's take it even a step further.
Okay.
That your YOS is the basis for the messaging that you need to have on your website.
Mhm.
So if you wonder now, how am I going to build my message? What should I say on my website? What should I talk about? Should I say the same thing everybody else says? Go to somebody else's website, maybe just kind of copy that and tweak it a little bit and stick it on my website?
Yeah.
That won't attract the people that you're looking for. And what you and I talked about this right off the bat, because we looked at your website and it maybe wasn't quite in alignment. It was close, but not quite in alignment with your why, how, and what. And then you redesigned it. You
Yeah.
changed a lot of the wording, and you changed some pictures, and you changed a few things on there to be more authentic to who you are,
Absolutely.
instead of kind of what you thought you should say, or maybe what a coach would say, or however you were thinking beforehand. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was super generic, right? Like I looked at a bunch of coaching websites and looked at mindset coaches and okay, so this is kind of what they say and it was super generic. I didn't really connect with it. It was and I wasn't super vulnerable either. So, I had one person say like, "Hey, took a look at your website." And or I think it was even maybe it was you, Gary. And it's like it doesn't really tell me who you are, right? But you know what? How can someone tell you who they are on their website if they don't know exactly who they are? right? Like if you know who you are, but you don't have the words, you can't communicate them. So it'll be impossible to put your bio on your website where people really understand who you are and what you believe in and what matters to you and what you value, right? And if you don't put that out there, you're not going to attract the people who are actually going to resonate with that message and want to find out more and want to work with you. So I think it's really important to understand your YOS, to really understand it, first for yourself, but then for others so that you can connect with you, but you can connect with them and they can connect with you. So I did change the website because I recognize the value, the value of communicating who you are to the world. And what I realize is, yeah, when you just communicate what everybody else communicates, you just blend in with everybody else. But there's only one of you in all of creation. There's only one of you. So why wouldn't you want to be that authentic version of yourself? Because nobody can replicate or duplicate that, right? Nobody. So why not be that? And that's how you will stand out from everybody else.
A really great way to say that, and you can utilize this for your clients and those of you that are, coaches that are listening, is, are you ready to be who you already are?
Yes. I love that.
It's going to be the title for my TED Talk, but that's, are you ready to be who you already are?
Yeah.
Because that's the point here. It's not, are you ready to be who you think you should be or who someone else wants you to be, or changing yourself to try to meet somebody else's thoughts or any of that. It's, you don't have to work at being yourself.
No.
You just have to know who you are. It's not work to be you. It's work to be somebody else. It's overwork to be somebody else. But once you know you, then to just be you and live in your own skin and have the confidence to know, hey, this is me. I'm okay.
That's the
I'm
easy.
all right, right? This is what I bring. Like me, don't like me. This is what I bring. And this is why I do it. And this is what you can count on from me.
It's so good. That reminds me of a quote by Jim Quick, and he says, have the curiosity to know yourself and have the courage to be yourself.
Love it. That is great. All right. Can we take this even further?
Let's do it. Yes.
Okay.
This is so much
So,
value. So much value. I mean, I think like what I'd love to do is just drive this home, and like because I've seen so many changes in my life and how I perceive myself and perceive others. I want others to benefit from this as well. So I'm on this mission with you.
awesome. Okay. Let's go even deeper. So if you're listening, or if you can, there's 3 things I want you to write down. I want you to write down Mary's why, how, and what. So here it is. Her why is trust, right? Creating relationships based upon trust. So write down trust. Her how is better way. Find a better way and share it. And her what is contribute. So write down trust, better way, and contribute. And if you're just driving, just remember trust, better way, contribute. So what that tells us about Mary is that if you had an idea that you wanted to get her buy-in, you better show her how that idea is going to create more trusting relationships. It's going to be better than what she's currently doing, and it's going to help her have a bigger impact, or help the people she's working with have a bigger impact, right? Because, so let's just play this out. So Mary, I have an idea, and I don't show you how it's going to create more trusting relationships. I don't show you how it's better than what you're currently doing, and I don't show you how it's going to help you have a bigger impact. How are you going to feel about that idea?
I don't trust it.
Yeah, not interested, right? Not. You'll probably say, I understand what you're saying, Gary, but let me think about it, right? Let me think about it.
Yes.
So if you've ever heard, let me think about it, that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
But if I have an idea and I say, Mary, let me show you how this is going to create more trusting relationships. Let me show you how this is better than what you're currently doing. And let me show you how this is going to help you and your clients have a bigger impact. How do you feel about it now?
I'm interested.
Yeah, it's what you're looking for.
Right.
That is Mary's decision-making process. That is how she makes a decision. Is it going to create trust? Is it better? And is it going to have an impact? The same thing for you as a coach, and the same thing for your clients and prospects. So when you know that about your prospects, moving them to work with you to the space of making a decision to work with you is the way we talk about this is using the golden rule versus the platinum rule. So everybody knows the golden rule, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. Well, what if Mary doesn't want to be treated the way I want to be treated? And I know she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So me treating Mary the way I want to be treated, how's that going to work for you?
It's not going to work.
Yeah, not going to work. Let me think about it. Let me think about it. I understand you, but let me think about it.
Let you
That's
know.
when you use, yeah. That's when we use the platinum rule, right? Treat others the way they want to be treated. How you do that is by knowing their YOS. Because now I know the words that Mary needs to hear in order to make a decision, feel heard, feel understood, feel valued, and want to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
I know the actual words she has to hear.
Yeah.
So if you don't use those, she will not want to move forward. If you use them, she will want to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be valuable?
It's a huge unlock, right? Knowing the words that are going to land with your prospect, knowing the words that are going to get them feeling comfortable with you, feeling like they feel heard and they feel understood, and that you are the right fit for them because perhaps you're showing them that you understand them better than they understand themselves. That's going to lead to a conversion, right?
Yes. And so here's the way we kind of say that is when I'm sure that you're sure
Mm-hmm.
that I know you
Mm-hmm.
better than anyone else knows you, there's no way you're not going to say, I want to work with you.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's how you do it. So yeah, we could go to 10 dinners and meet for coffee 6 times and 7 Zoom calls and follow up with you and your significant other people in your life. And we could go on and on and on. I want to tell you another story. So I was in Arizona for a month. I spent a month in Arizona and I get a call from this guy from London. And he's building this program where he's doing a lot of work with Gen Z.
Okay.
And he's working with Pitbull and some different celebrities. And the coaches that they're working with are they live in Scottsdale. And he just said, so where are you right now? And I said, I'm in Scottsdale. He goes, no way, I'm coming there this week. Would you want to meet for breakfast? Because I want to share with you this program because we want to use the YOS with all the Gen Zers.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, sure. He said, great, I'll bring my partners and we'll meet for breakfast at this place called the Breakfast Club in Scottsdale. So that particular day, it's raining and it never rains much in Scottsdale, but so all the traffic was bad. So I got there earlier and I'm sitting there in the coffee area waiting, and there these 2 young gals sit down next to me. And I said, hey, what generation are you? And they said, well, we're Gen Z. And I said, oh, okay. I said, like, what's the biggest challenge that's facing the Gen Zers? And they said, well, it's mental health. And I said, okay, what do you mean by mental health? Like, what is mental health? And they said, well, we spend so much time on our phones and on social media comparing ourselves to others that we feel inadequate and it messes with our heads. And I said, okay, well, how do you figure out who you are so that doesn't happen? And they go, well, we don't really know. We just kind of go with what we feel. And I said, well, how's that working for you? And they said, not very well. And I said, okay, well, I told them who I was meeting with that work with people in their age group. And I told them about the YOS. And I said, hey, while I'm waiting for them and while you're eating, do you want to discover your YOS and then come talk to us? And they said, yeah, I'd love to do that. So one was a maybe 5'1", real thin black girl with a fur bucket hat on, and the other was maybe a 5'8" Hispanic gal, kind of shy, long hair, kind of a shy look to her. And so they go to eat, and then the three people that I was meeting with showed up, and the one guy from London, real big African American guy, and then this real big muscly white guy that's bald with tattoos all over him, that's a bodybuilder, and his wife's a bodybuilder too, and real fit and real big, both of them big. So
Okay.
anyways, we go sit down, and I told him that those two young gals were going to be discovering their YOS, and that so I saw on my phone that one of them had done it and the other one hadn't. So I walked over to him and I said, "Hey, did you guys have trouble discovering your YOS?" She goes, "Yeah, I think I put the wrong email in there." And I said, "Okay, well, let's check." And sure enough, she had. And the other one was the kind of shy looking gal, and she had discovered her Y, and it came up as challenge. And so challenge is usually for people that are very outgoing, don't follow the rules, don't draw inside the lines, purple hair, the ones that attract a lot of attention. And so I said, "How did that feel to you?" And she said, "Oh gosh, that's me to a T." And
Ooh.
I said, "Well, do you feel like you've always been kind of a little bit different, maybe a little bit of an outcast?" And she starts nodding, and saying, "Yeah, that's me." And she starts to get a little teary-eyed. And I said, "Do you feel like maybe you're muting yourself right now, or maybe just kind of hiding a little bit?" And because she was a little bit heavier, and she said, "Yeah." And you could see her eyes getting really, teary-eyed. And I said, "Well, you see that big white bald guy over there with all the tattoos on him?" I said, "He has your same Y. Would it be okay if I grabbed him to come talk to you?" And she said, "Yeah." And so I went over and I grabbed him and I said, "Hey, would you like to talk to that young gal there? She has your same Y." His name is Brian Grasso. And he said, "Yeah, I would love to talk to her." So he goes and sits down, and I said, "You both have the same Y." And I said, "I'll let you guys talk." And I left and went and sat down. And about 10 minutes later, he comes back and he's got tears just streaming down his face. And he said, "Cannot believe the conversation I just had with her." He said, "That is me. She was what I was like at that age, and I was trying to do what she's doing, and I can connect with her so well because I know what she's going through." And he said, "I can help her, and I'm going to help her."
Wow.
And he sits down and said, "Brian, how long would it have taken you to have had a conversation like that with her?" And he said, "Months, years, maybe never."
Right.
So in minutes, it cuts through the BS and it gets to the essence of, who are you and who am I talking to? And
Mm.
it's very predictable what's going on in her life. She's hiding. She doesn't know who she is. She's medicating. She's with food. She's trying to figure out, why am I so different? Why aren't I like everybody else? What's wrong with me instead of what's right with me? And it was such a powerful moment that you have these kinds of moments almost daily when you utilize the YOS before you meet with people. Does that make sense?
Certainly does. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's such a great that's such a great point, is like connecting with people who have your why, right?
Mm,
And being able to have those deeper conversations and going from zero to 100 in a matter of minutes, cutting through all that noise and really getting to the essence of who they are, what they stand for, how they do the things they do, why they do them. So I think that, that's, and if I take that to like the coaching context, how amazing it would it be if you actually found the clients who had your why?
yes.
How well would you understand them? How well would they feel understood if your whys connected?
And that's a great point. So, what you're looking for are people that believe what you believe. So
Mm.
they don't have to have your why. They just have to believe what you believe. And then you now know their YOS. So you'll know how to connect with them in a way where they will feel heard. So you use your YOS to attract the people that are looking for that, and then use their YOS to treat them in the way that they want to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it works.
Not
That's
memorable.
when very powerful.
Very,
It
very,
just
yeah.
simplifies, demystifies this thing called how do I make better connections faster?
Mm.
So maybe if you're listening, you're thinking, well, I already have this DISC and I already have Myers-Briggs or Colby or Strength Finders or Predictive Index or there's so many great ones.
It's true.
And we like them and we use them. What those do are help you understand how people take action.
Mhm.
The YOS discovery helps you understand why people take action. It's the world's only why discovery tool. So is the YOS better than the other assessments? No, it's not better. It's a matter of sequence.
Mhm.
It just comes first. Start with YOS and the others will be even more valuable.
I'll make even more.
Start with the DISC or the Myers-Briggs or the Colby, and they're great, but you end up going one to the next to the next. Start with YOS, then the others, and it's a great combination.
It is, because you're able to like filter your Myers-Briggs through your YOS, filter the Colby through the YOS, and you just understand it much better because you understand yourself, right?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
So then tell me, Gary, like if I was trying to use the YOS in my business with my clients, my current clients, and helping them better understand themselves, or with prospects, people I'm onboarding through discovery calls to see if it's a good fit. How does a coach utilize the YOS? I'm assuming it's like a software. How do they utilize that in their business? Is there courses, training, coaching, certification? What do you offer to kind of empower coaches to have the tools that they need to be able to have those conversations?
Great question. So the Y Institute, we're not coaches.
Okay.
We send all of our people that discover their YOS to coaches because that's not what we do. So we certify coaches in utilizing the YOS as their own tool to become part of their own program. And that's really what it is. It's a tool. And so the certification teaches you how to, it deep dives into the 9 whys. So you learn the characteristics, the challenges, the solutions to the challenges, how each why works in different types of relationships, what career paths, and what people would say about people with that why and what phrases that person would use. And you learn a whole lot about it. And then we show you how the YOS, or why the YOS is 3 times stronger, 3 times more powerful, 3 times more valuable than just knowing your why. Knowing your why is just the first step. Just as important is the how and the what, like you saw with yourself, right? It puts it all together. And then we teach you how to utilize the software and the dashboards. So in the back end of all of this, you have awesome dashboards that allow you to send discoveries to different people. You'll see who you sent it to, when they took it. If they're in the middle of it, you can give them a little nudge if you have to. But once they've discovered it, then you get access to all the information we were just talking about and a lot more. Because what we haven't shared with everybody, and there's more, right? And there's more, is that it actually goes 9 levels deep. There's 9 different whys. The YOS discovery actually goes all 9 levels deep.
What does that mean?
The client, yeah, I'm sorry.
So what does that mean when you say 9 levels deep?
So there's 9 whys, and everybody has all of them.
Oh, okay.
One of them is more dominant than the rest, and
Mhm.
that's the one that becomes your why. The second most dominant is your how, and the third is your what. But the YOS discovery actually goes all 9 levels deep for every client. So you can see the top 3 being their why, how, and what. Those are their non-negotiables. The middle 3 are still important, but not as important. And the bottom 3 are not. important to that person. So
Also,
you know what to talk about and what not to talk about. It also, so the client doesn't see that, but you as the coach does. So the way the coaching works is there's two parts to it. There's the discovery part where the client discovers their YOS, but then there's the activation part, which is where the coach comes in. The coach helps the client activate their YOS in their life or in their business. So you may have had your YOS discovered, but have you had it activated? And then the coach learns how to help their client activate it in their life, and then take that and implement the coaching that they already do well on top of it. So it's the first step in the relationship building with their client is knowing their YOS. Because once you know their YOS, building a coaching program for them that you know they're going to love, very easy. Building a coaching program for them that you know they're going to have passion for and want to do, very easy for them. It demystifies all of that for you. But the other thing that the coach platform does for you is allows you to monetize it. Well, first, message yourself. Second, monetize it. And the third, even more valuable, is learn how to scale so that you can start working one-to-many instead of just one-to-one.
Yeah. And what does that look like?
So doing workshops,
Okay.
speaking at events, working with larger companies, we teach you how to do that. We give you the decks to actually be able to do it, that you just can plug and play with your own, what you already have. And then we give you samples and examples of me doing it for actual companies, so you can see it in real time. And then we give you ongoing coaching on how to do that. In fact, right after this call, I'm working with our coaches on how to monetize, because there's a lot of different ways to monetize. I'll give you an example. One of the things that you'll be able to do is create an event. So an event would be like last week I spoke at an event called the Elite Wealth Advisor Symposium, top 100 wealth advisors. And I created a QR code that looks like this. So if you can't see it, it just looks like a QR code. But and so inside of the dashboards, you can create an event where when you hit event mode, it creates a QR code for you that the audience can then use while you're working with them to discover their why, how, and what. So instead of just talking about this concept of why with your audience, they can actually do it. And then everybody that takes it goes into your dashboard under that event, so you know who was there, and you can kind of handpick the ones that you really want to work with. And you'll know their first name, last name, email, where they work, what they do at that job, and a whole lot of information on them. But what you can also do, and this may be getting too deep, but you can create that same sort of an event QR code for your phone. Like those of you that are watching can see it on my phone. So everywhere I go, if there's somebody I think is going to be a great client for me, I have them discover their why right in the moment. I pull out my phone and say, well, instead of me telling you about it, have a seat over there. And in 8 minutes, you'll be able to discover your why, how, and what, and you and I can have a fascinating conversation about it. So I'll give you an example of how that worked. I was having a beer with a buddy at a brewery, and his friend shows up that I briefly met one time. And he said, hey, Gary, have you told Matt about this why thing you do? And I said, well, no, I don't think we ever talked about it. But instead of me telling you about it, why don't you just go ahead and discover it, and then we'll have a great conversation about it. So, okay. He goes, sits in the corner, comes back 5 minutes later and says, okay, my why came up is trust. Hey, same as you. So I said, Well, Matt, what that tells me is that trust is a really big deal to you. You want to be that trusted source. You want to be the one that others can count on. If you can trust them and they can trust you, sky's the limit. He said, that's 100%. And I said, how does it feel if someone were to break your trust?
Mhm.
Is that like just annoy you or a knife in the gut? And he said, that's a knife in the gut. And he said, as a matter of fact, that just happened to me today, and I'm not sure how to handle it. He said, turns out he's the commander at the Air Force Base here at Kirtland Air Force Base.
Mhm.
And he said one of his subordinates had gotten into a road rage thing and told him it was just road rage. But I told him it was just an accident, but it turned out it was road rage. And he'd run this guy off the road into a fence, and they got into a big, fight. And he didn't tell him all the details. And then when that guy's leader came over and talked to him, it made him look bad. And, how do you not know this about the guy that works with you? He says, I can't trust this guy. He says, we got to have this at the Air Force Base. So he brought me in to work with Kirtland Air Force Base, all because we were having a beer together and he learned about his YOS.
Mhm.
Almost every event, every social gathering, everywhere you go, there are wonderful prospects and clients waiting for you to help them discover their YOS and say, I got to have this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was sold from the first time that we connected, like it was great reading my results, but it was more impactful when you explained them to me.
Yep.
When
And that's where coaching comes in.
and maybe activation, who knows?
Yeah,
Activation and coaching for sure. Yeah, because I think when you become the expert on the 9 whys, you begin to really start profiling and understanding people, who they are, how they are, why they are, how they are, right?
yeah.
Yeah, no, this was amazing. Gary, thank you. This was a very insightful conversation. I would encourage everybody to take the YOS. Now, Gary, if people want to, connect with you, get the test, go to your website, where's the best place that they can find you and find more information about the YOS and the Y Institute?
First step I would say is just go discover your YOS. Go to our website, wyinstitute.com, wyinstitute.com. Discover your YOS, and then you and I can have a fantastic conversation, just like Mary and I did, and many others, because our time together will be very well spent and it will be very valuable. And if the worst thing that comes out of it is you just know yourself better, I know you'll find that valuable, but I would love to reach out to you. So can I talk for a minute, Mary, about what our vision is and really where we're headed at the Y Institute?
I would love that. Please go ahead.
So our vision is to be the first step in self-awareness, to be the first step when people are trying to figure out who they are. There's a lot of great assessments out there, like we mentioned. Those are how you take action. This is why you take action. So if you start with the YOS first, the rest becomes so much easier. Finding your passion, your purpose, your direction, building your messaging, your marketing, your branding, knowing your ideal client, knowing how to talk about yourself, knowing how to connect becomes so much easier, as we talked about earlier, if you just start with the YOS. Our goal is to impact 1 billion people in the next 15 years, and we're on track for that now. But we need your help. We need coaches' help. There's some amazing things happening right now at the Y Institute. And if you would like to be part of it, let me know. Reach out to me, reach out to Mary, connect with us, and be happy to share with you how you can make that happen and be part of this cause, because you're going to hear more and more and more about it. And right now is a wonderful time to become part of it. So we have about 250 coaches, and it's growing daily. And we'd love to connect with any of you that think this is something that would be a tool that you would like to have as part of your toolkit in working with your clients.
Amazing. Gary, thank you. And I think what I'll do is also I'll just link up all the websites and links in the description below for the video so that everybody can have access to that. And yeah, please connect with me, connect with Gary, and let's get the Y Institute to the billion people that they want to impact. Because imagine what it would be like if a billion people in this world knew their why. Like, how would the consciousness change in this world if everybody knew their why?
Mm. You know, we could keep going and going and going, but here's the last thing I'll leave you with. If what you do is in line with your YOS, your why, how, and what, you will have passion for what you do. Let me say it again. If what you choose to do with your life is in line with your YOS, you will have passion for what you do. You will love what you do. And passion is the fuel that gives you the energy to pursue your dreams. Without passion, you'll give up. With passion, you'll continue, you'll persevere. And that's why passion is so critical. So if you're trying to help your client, your kids, your family members find their passion, help them discover their YOS, help them pick something that's in line with their YOS, where they will be valued for it and they will love what they do. And there's such a big difference between being able to do something and loving what you do.
Yeah.
So find the YOS first, the rest becomes easy.
Love it. I love it. Gary, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the wealth of information, and thank you for the discovery. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Gary.